Sorry for that.
No, all good. So by contrast, nobody will hear. So it's fine. What stays, what happens in this room then stays also here. So anyway, I was like thinking that debugging code and debugging people is actually pretty much the same skill set, but with different syntax. So today I will definitely not debug your apps, but try to apply what we call in learning theory space learning. This is the way when you learn something new to help neurons to bridge it what you already know with something what you have to learn. And this is the easiest way to make this jump for neurons. And this is how we absorb our learning. And I thought that because I saw a lot of people struggling, overworking, almost on burnout, and I was one of them, or still am, it's kind of learning journey. So anyway, I will try in this talk to recall the patterns or tools which you're using on a daily basis, not depending what kind of engineering work you're doing, but to apply these patterns and also tools to your main and core system. So I don't like usually agendas, and I will go this talk also probably freestyle, depending on how many time I will have. At the end, I'm quite talkative. Also, my background and root and home country is like because of this probably, and also the ADHD when I cannot really focus on stuff. So this is the main pattern or mantra, however you want to call it. This is how you usually go and do any job, any Jira ticket when you are assigned or you're just working in such a democratic environment that you can pick up one. So anyway, like you have to audit anything you start working, then automate, then do some deep work, and then sustain and test. In longer workshops I'm running on this very topic, usually I do some experiments as well to give you some or give participants some hands-on and tangible tools to try out. Since we do not have time for it, you can reach me on LinkedIn. At the very end, I will show the QR code and we can discuss this mentoring guidance. It's like, for me, it's also, I'm not collecting data, but anyway, the outcomes, it's very, very interesting. It's basically like running app or any software, but on humans. So it's very interesting to observe. So before we talk about AI and how to use it, and I guess that in this room or in others, there were like different options and solutions how to use it properly and wisely. I would say that what I said in my very controversial title, how one of the organizers meant, the real risk isn't AI, and it's you. And I would say that here it's very important to read somehow these terms and conditions, which are like in tiny font written, so to understand the real issue, what is behind it. We all heard this, that AI is coming for your job, and it's like cue headlines and cue hot takes, also like cue miracle prompts to promise you to be like 10 times faster overnight. It's not really works, and it's not the real story, because real story is actually quieter and closer to your home or office or home office. It's how we work when we're tired and distracted or running on, I don't know, 5 Slack threads or 10 half-done PRs, which we swore that we will close 2 sprints ago. It's not AI, actually, what threatens your or our jobs. But the workflow or habits, what we have, pose this risk. And let's do some reality check. please take your phones and scan this QR code. You'll see the feedback evaluation, however they call it. I hope this works. I tested before. So, and when you open, please tell how many tabs you have open in your phones while you're scanning. So there are, and remember, I don't need these confessions, but remember how many tabs you left open on your machines. So there are like 1 to 5 or 6 to 15. I'm on this, don't judge me, crew. But actually, we will try to hold on to that, that number, and we will try to reduce it somehow and without slowing down. Because actually, what does these all tabs means? It, like, for my understanding, it is like I keep it open to at some point to come back and read. It almost never happens. Now, Google Chrome has amazing features. You can group it now, and all these unread tabs, you can keep it together for some sunny day to read it. So for me was that last week I was holding the same speech, and on this slide, it came somehow like on my LinkedIn. I got requests that I was giving a speech about drug usage. It's not the case, but it's kind of rabbit hole. I remember that after joining Zalando in the mobile loyalty team, once I opened that time Android Studio to fix a bug, and 30 minutes later, I was deep in Stack Overflow, reading about regex, language I don't use, never used. Is it relatable somehow? Probably. For me, definitely, because it was like the conversation was very catchy and very interesting. People were discussing something what I don't really need, but yeah, it was like another link I opened. So if you laughed, then we laugh because we can relate with it. And the meme behind is that we have memory leak. And this context switching is actually the feeling, what we are getting after this context switching is somehow this guilt. And if you think on your daily work, it's not that we are working deeply, we're just responding quickly. And also, we are not running tools. Somehow, tools are running us. So, and I believe that this was also intention when you read the title to attend this talk. I think that if we were a production system, most of us would be in incident mode by lunch. So in average, developers, they say, like the scientists who measure this, behaviors also, that on average a developer experiences around 50 interruptions per hour. It could be like pings from emails and Slack or Google Thread notification. If you rethink on the systems you're building, it's kind of unbounded fan-in at ingress. You have this constant stream of notifications and requests overwhelming you at once. Like you had like many input of information flooding into server, and it cannot be efficient, and it cannot run the process in your apps or websites or systems you're building properly. We have this, with this constant interruption, we have kind of, our cache is never warm. So we start all over again. It's kind of repeating, fetching data continuously. And we're working after hours. It happens to us all because release or deadline is yesterday. So we have to do very quick, find fast solution. And these are the background processes running constantly in our minds. These are real technological disruptions, they say. But I think that it's our workflows and broken habits which brings us here, or also these overwhelming or close to burnout situations. There is one wise guy. I can fully recommend the book, Thinking Fast and Slow is the name. Probably some of them you read already. It's Daniel Kahneman is the name. And he describes two modes of thinking. One is system one, and it's fast, automatic, always on. And system two is slow and deliberate and deeply focused. So real engineering actually happens in system two. But the problem is that system two is constantly interrupted by system one. This pinging that, and someone needs your help now. So if we make somehow the merging of the systems and our behaviors, it would be that it feels urgent, but it feels also productive, but it's neither. There is another author I read that he calls something like this, that you feel productive, but do not ship really something, productivity porn. So you are doing something, but you never come to the end. So it's also like quite good description for it, what we are doing. So when I started my journey as developer or software engineer, after making this transition, I had at the same time several things going on. It was like on one hand, like boot camp from 9 to 5 with a lot of homework, weekly projects, going to that time through very emotionally hard process in my private life, trying to learn like single momming, part-time single momming, and juggling with it. And I had also my ADHD diagnosis like freshly. So I opened this Git repo for homework for the project, and first thought came was that what I do code, because obviously I didn't had a big experience. First thought was that why I'm even here. So I think that time I was not real broken, because this transition was my choice and I always wanted to do this. I was just context switch to that. So I did what engineers do, and why I decided to become one. I stopped guessing and started designing my workflows, and I started thinking about myself as a system. Picture this, that tabs, right? You have many tabs open, and one tab is playing music. You can't find which one. And it's kind of your brain on notifications. Every tab, as I mentioned, is like thought that at some point you will come back. But you will never deploy services like this in your daily work. What keeps, but why you do then, or why we do this to our brains? Because this context switching kills our deep work phases, and we just do what Carl Newport, also one behaviorist, calls leftovers of attention residue. So it means that our brain is sludge, and you drag from task to task. So this I believe that, or I described for myself this as system failure, but at human scale. And I think that if we trace like one single hour, which might be like quite typical for each of us, it could give you like more insights, or it can ring a bell how we are working. I'll just skip this one so we have time. So imagine that you are opening IDE and you are like ready to do some magic. And then you have these calendar tools, and then you have Slack Storm, and then this I will email quite quickly, but it's never quick. And then you have a meeting, and this is kind of like garbage collection, like all this information comes to you, and then you stare at screen again, and you have, why did I open this? Because this isn't a problem with willpower. This is a problem with things, how they are set up. That's why we are feeling busy, but ship just only on the very high. We push our strings and ship the output, or like the work in the best way how we do it, on borderline. And it could be like, if it would be system, that would be like definitely priority 0. In a systems that at low load, everything works fine. But when we push utilization towards 100%, then latency spikes, right? So humans are actually worse, because we have this deep work core, just only one, and 80% cognitive load it doesn't stretch the system, but it explodes. So we cannot ship faster, actually. So we stall. And we are not slow when we cannot find solution. When we try very hard, we are just saturated. And we don't try to optimize our systems. We try to focus on stabilization first. These are executive symptoms, which we see on a daily basis, that senior engineers and tech leads face their own version on it. They have code review interruptions, and all these weekly ceremonies which we have, and where and how we are interrupted. Let's move a little bit faster to the funnier part, how we can align these systems to our core system. Once this idea came to me to put this on slide, because like someone asked me on the last conference, what you tell how we have to adjust the day. It looks fancy and shiny, but we cannot do it in our environment. I would not say that I push somehow to, or I just suggest. It's a lot of trial and error, like in testing. You can try several tools, and it might work for you or not, but it never works unless you try. And how I debug myself, that I didn't wait for permission. I just try, and if it works, then I suggest to my teammates, and then I'm just waiting from them feedback, or even not. It's just two-way street of support, how peers can support each other, not only on PR reviews or some smart solutions, but also on mental health issues where we don't really talk about. And I think that Berlin, in this case, is also like one of the places where we all come from different countries, or most of us. We all work at international companies. The French crisis, it's actually bigger and trustfuler back home. And the only touch points, human touch points we have, are our teammates. So it's really hard to build this trust and scream out loud when you really need support. Imagine that it's your pipeline of cognitive performance, and let's first do kind of hot fixes to debug our system. And I'm coming back now what I said before. It's like this audit, automate, deep work, and sustain. It's not that you just need to hustle harder. We are engineers and we build smart systems. So, and if system has a memory leak, then we'll fix it. So let's fix our memory leaks. We don't have to firefight like hot fixes. We just need to build proper system. And here you see the terms which you hear on your daily basis at your workplace. It's quite equivalent to our behaviors. So circuit breakers are burnout protections or load balances, also rate limiters. It's communication boundaries. It's pretty hard to set, but once you set, you are not the smoothie one in the team, but someone who gives good example to others. Because sometimes it's like we can be easily approachable, but on another hand, it's like the constant overload of the communication, and I'm really happy to support someone if I can, but I also have like my time limits for deep work. I thought that it's quite easy to first when we it will be quite easy if you hear these symptoms, what could be a very clear sign that you have these trip conditions and you have this overload. Does it happen to you that you reread 3 times this same line, which is actually quite easy? It could be like Jira ticket description or acceptance criteria, but somehow you cannot really follow. Or push nonsense commit by accident, and then you have to somehow amend everything and rewrite. Or you just opening Slack or Google Chats just to check. Yeah, these are actually warning lights. And they are our brain throttling the same way as circuit breakers actually. And when circuit breakers trips to prevent this full outage. So I would suggest that in this case, we just don't need to push harder to push ourselves that why we need to read the same sentence somehow to concentrate. But yeah, it's very hard to do first time, but close the laptop peacefully, because sometimes we just slam out of some reasons. And it's kind of like reset the system. And it's not the weakness. It's reliability engineering. And we do it, again, for our systems that they are reliable. We need to do it to our inner system because this is the core which produce the other systems or apps. And again, coming back to this slamming the laptop, have you ever slammed it mid-task when you're like really upset? So it's just, imagine your brain is just plugged out without any cache. And when you restart on the next day, or even after some hours, you don't have this mental context. So, and this takes time to rebuild memory to start working again in this. That's why I was telling that in this post-mortem, hourly post-mortem, that when you have some interruptions, but you're still working on some ticket or task, it's really hard to come back and you need the context again and again. This is the tool I learned from my peers, and I could call it like entry point note. This is like before starting work. Meanwhile, I have this optimized that when I open IDE, everything turns into do not disturb system. Because like on one machine, I can't have like also WhatsApp. However, if you're using some Google tools, it's not always possible, but we will speak about some time slots, and I adjust it in a way that it's like focus time. once someone told me that once pinged me someone during this focus time when I really tried to go deeply in some task, and I explained, not that I gave like rude command that, yeah, you don't see that I'm on focus time. Just after some days during our coffee break, I explained the way I work, and it was like immediately relatable for her. So she understood that, okay, it's actually focus time. It's just not like fancy emoji on my Google thread, but I just work. So this is kind of like rebooting the brain. And I have these 3 steps. Watch, and it's also like quite helpful if you're running dailies. It helps to go for it like really quick if you have note in advance what you have done, and you don't have to go through some merged PRs. About boundaries, I can imagine that for some of you this could be really difficult to set up. It depends hardly on the culture and environment where you work. But still, if you have like, at least for you, or just try once a week, let's see if it works for you or not, that you answer all these common chat groups, working chat groups, just only on particular hours, and not that if it's not urgent, if you have like some kind of ongoing project where you just need really input from product owners, then of course, or you just can put like the status message that if something is urgent, then they have to ping or tag you so you can see it. I have designed that it's just 10 minutes left. I will go quite quickly, and again, like you can check with me and send you not the presentation but the handouts which you can try out. Load balancing and scheduling. On a daily, I have 2 90-minute blocks for this focus time, and I try to, at least in my team, start the meetings not at sharp at 00 or 30, but 10 or 20. It helps because, like, one, we are like somehow back to the office or remote, like hybrid work, and it's not anymore possible to switch from one call to another, from one tab to another, but you need time. And also, like, preparing meeting before and after, like 15 minutes are anyway lost. So this helps actually to squeeze meetings and not to have too long ones, and also prepare in these 10 minutes for the meeting. Another one is this async queries and batch operations, where you have like fixed times for particular daily working routines. You usually do, I don't know, you're a release boss and you need to review some PRs, or like, which is like not directly your daily work, but you have to do occasionally. And for this, reviews I just do afternoon after I have my coffee in a piece, and I know that I don't need to meanwhile think about the PR I have just left open. And of course, there are some exceptions as well. It cannot, like, it's just a system. You cannot run everything smoothly. It has bugs as well. The so-called 10 times engineers. I don't believe, honestly, in this myth. And it's not that they work long hours or that just they are smarter than we are. They just run better systems and they have better working habits. This is the only thing. And system optimization is actually that consistency beats instantly, and automation handles routines. So this is where AI could come in your daily workflow to simplify and automate stuff you're doing at least twice, and it doesn't really need your mental input. Who is running scripts to, I don't know, like for, in my case, it was opening, I was working on accessibility feature. And if someone working on Android on as mobile engineer. Okay, so the issue I had constantly, because I was testing accessibility on particular screen. And if you're testing it on simulator, this accessibility button is not working quite well. So you have to somehow like push harder. And to reach this screen, it was like very long process. And somehow I came to idea that it was like just one prompt now I'm running. It's like talkback on and talkback off. Everything else is done in script. So it makes like easier and faster daily work I do. And I have also like some bunch of aliases I'm usually using to simplify some steps. And for me, even though like there are some suggestions, it's possible to add to terminals that you are getting suggestions. Since I'm doing like a lot of typos, my suggestions are also like not always correct. So I need to run aliases. Trust but verify, but yeah, this relates to one talk I heard today. It was like trust and verify about the codes which agents ship AI, and there was like the presenter, he made a website with wipe coding, and he was just assuring us that we need to check the code, how this wipe coding is happening. And then it should be like prompt was that website should say something like hello, but in Berlin wipe. Outcome was that arm aber sexy. Speaker was not speaking German, but it's like not only about check the code, what AI ships, but the content as well, because it's not always what we want to have. And behavioral design, which is this 2-minute commit ritual. So you end up basically the day like you push PR. So you have like sum up of the day, commit with tasks you've done, and you're ready for the daily, for the next day. So again, I think that architecture is much bigger than willpower, and we just need to design our environment in the best way what is possible for ourselves. And I think this is kind of flywheel. Once it turns, it keeps turning. And I would say that it's important to do these steps with audit, automate, deep work, and sustain. But imagine that you're running. It might be that on the slide previously, what I showed, some of the tasks or tools were relatable, or you wanted to try it out. But imagine, again, it's a system. So please do not try all tools together. It's the same that you push all PRs, your team is working at the same time without checking that if there are some conflicts, or then immediately on production. You will not do it on the system, so please do not do it. So take time to make it as a habit. Audit, observe before optimize. This is very important. Without observation, what you really need to improve, you cannot come to the best outcome possible. Automate, just script the boring stuff. Let AI be your intern and not the competitor. Deep work, it protects the performance core, because I believe that we became engineers for a reason, with a purpose. Because we wanted to change something, and it was something what was relatable to our curiosity. So feed your curiosity and just delegate or automate this boring stuff. And sustain, build defaults that survive pressure. It's most important we can give to ourselves. I believe that burnout is system failure, and system failure of the workflow and not the code, not ourselves. It might happen to everyone. We just need to ask for help, which is not easy. timely. This is the question that sometimes we are asking ourselves when we cannot finish in particular amount of time something. It's not that what's wrong with me. Nothing. You're just overloaded. That's why you cannot ship in particular amount of time the quality you are usually delivering. I would say that it's not that what should I do next, but what system got me here and is it still working? This is, again, like flipped way of asking yourself to bringing you, because like this, what's next, it keeps you in task mode or in survival mode, and try to flip the angle and look at this, your core system from a different angle. So basically, to wrap it everything up, you don't need more apps. You just need better defaults. And stop optimizing your output and just start somehow instrumenting your system. AI won't take our jobs, but lack of architecture in our core system might. Please don't live with notes, just live with commitment or commit. Pick one experiment in next week, audit your interruptions, automate just one task, and try to schedule this deep work block. Or just build shutdown ritual when your system and machine is shutting down automatically. Measure it, iterate it, and ship it. Commit to init better defaults. Thank you.